has done a $5 super chat saying, "You East Coasters have officially lost the high ground over Vandenberg." So I think last night's launch and today's launch might have a interesting placement within the East Coast versus West Coast argument.
Well, technically speaking, we never had the high ground because we're at sea level.
That was good. Since Jack isn't here to say it, I'll just say West Coast, Best Coast, because I feel like it has to be said on this stream.
It literally does not, and you were just saying that for a bit. It's so untrue.
In the interests of full impartiality, I will say East Coast, Best Coast.
Yes.
See, the thing
Correct
is,
opinion.
the East Coast is not known for these foggy launches, right? It happens, of course it happens, because there's always a chance, but that chance is really tiny compared to how often it happens at Vandenberg, which is why Vandenberg got coined as well as Vanden Fog. So, yeah.
I have to say, Vandenberg kind of deserves the hate. Just saying.
Oh, actually, lads, I
Yeah.
think we just got confirmation from SpaceX that propellant load is underway for Falcon 9, so we are
Wow.
on track for an on-time liftoff.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nice to see SpaceX is still, keeping track of things on their end. So thank you very much, SpaceX, for informing us that the propellant load has begun. Although I'm not sure. Well,
can we show
even
the
SpaceX
tweet?
can see the rocket from what they shared in their tweet. So we'll give Kevin a moment to bring that up. But yeah, things. There you go. There's the tweet.
Hey, we need to keep a really close eye on the base of the vehicle because anytime now there should be frost forming at the base of the vehicle. So we need to look closely to see if we can spot it.
So apart from the overlay, look at the last line. The vehicle, teams, and fog are currently go for launch at 6:13 p.m. Eastern. That's a good one. Wow, they cannot even see the rocket from the pad cameras. That's hilarious.
I wonder who wrote that tweet. I think we can take some guesses.
Yeah, right?
I'm not a gambler, but I'd be putting a lot of money on one specific SpaceX communications person who we.
I actually have two in mind, but sure, go ahead.
Okay. So there we go. That's the timeline. We have surpassed the T-minus 35 minutes of the RP1 and LOX loading on stage 1, RP1 loading on the second stage. We're just over 5 minutes away from the liquid oxygen chill down. And Alex, that beautiful, infamous T-minus 20-minute event, which I'm sure we're going to be getting a load of beautiful live shots of from our various locations around the Space Coast this evening.
Yeah, it's. I don't know how to say this. It's not gonna be easy to explain most of this stuff because we're not gonna be able to see those.
Yeah, I think this view is from the hut looking over towards the VAB. We can see the road next to the hut, and then literally nothing else.
That is abysmal.
Yeah. The VAB, literally the tallest building, the largest building for miles and miles and miles. And it is completely hidden in this blanket of fog that has descended upon the Kennedy Space Center.
I have to say, this is the worst fog I have ever seen here in the past 5 years of living here, over 5 years of living here.
I can back up that statement. That is about on par. Yes.
I'm sure Chris B is in chat saying something about Florida tourism brochures and how they are very inaccurate because they have blue skies and sunny weather and all of the things like that. But at least we can see the birds, I guess. I'm sure everyone in chat can hazard a guess at who is currently controlling this camera.
Gage. Everybody knows it's Gage. Let's be fair. We put 2 cameras now for fleet cam, and now it's like 2 cameras to watch more birds.
to move quickly on before D says anything. Eric, thank you very much for your 199 super chat as well. Shout out to Ken from Cincinnati. Shout out to Ken. Anonymous with a store message saying, love Hoppy, Starhopper the Eternal. Thank you very much for getting the Flight 6 patch shirt. And we have Snot Garden with gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much for that. If you received one of them, make sure to thank them in the chat. And Astro95 Media with a $10 super chat for Max and D to put towards a dehumidifier for the NSF KSC station. I'm not sure how much of a difference a dehumidifier would make right now, but I'm sure the support is gratefully received either way.
I think it's worth a shot. You never know.
Might need to run it for a little while. Anyways.
Oh yeah, the visibility.
This is really good of Kevin to bring up right now, because you can't see it.
I've got to say, if you are far enough away from the Cape that you are not seeing fog right now, like if you're up in Daytona Beach and it's clear, this map could be really helpful. You could have wonderful views once it gets above the fog here. But from where I am and from where Max is, yeah, I'm definitely not seeing much of anything until it's at least well off the pad. I'm not going to make the mistake of taking my hands off the controls tonight. I will be ready to track this thing at a moment's notice. I will have to, of course, wipe the lenses again right before launch because there is so much humidity out here. But if you are in this circle, look to the sky.
Maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll just see 4 cars in the car park and nothing else because of the fog. But
Hey,
we'll just have to wait and see.
I can almost see my car in that shot.
These weather, is it just my imagination?
Ooh.
D, I see you wiping one of your telescopes right now.
Inception,
But
look
the
at that.
flag seems to be a bit more visible. I'm not sure if that's just my brain trying to make things seem better than they actually are.
Pat,
Yeah,
this
I
is
think
your
you're just being
opportunity to.
optimistic.
Yeah.
This is your opportunity to appear on the stream because you can see yourself.
There we go. Obligatory wave. Let's have a look through here very quickly. We have an interesting question here from Hop Hayes and a video we can plug along with it, asking, can you see an RTLS pretty well from Rusty's? Planning on seeing Prime 1 as my very first live launch. Well, Max, what are the best, assuming the weather conditions are better than right now, where are the best locations to see an RTLS launch?
So I think it's first worth noting that we actually have a video on our channel describing all the best spots to watch a launch here at the Cape from any pad at any time of day. So that is a highly regarded resource. I would highly recommend checking out. But for tonight in specifically, assuming we have nominal clear weather, just after sunset, especially with this one going northeast from 39A, I would recommend the very top of the Max Brewer Bridge because it'll be flying over your left shoulder, and you will have a front row seat to that gorgeous jellyfish boost back burn after stage separation to get the first stage booster back to LZ1 or LZ2, whichever one they are targeting tonight. I believe if you want to, that's if you want to set yourself up for launch. If you want to set yourself up for landing, I would recommend either Cars Park or Jetty Park because those are much closer to LZ1 and LZ2 than anywhere in Titusville. I think Jetty Park is going to be around 6 or 7 miles from the LZ, and Cars is around the same. And of course, with this one, with blah, 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 what are words? I can't speak. With this one flying northeast, the booster will, of course, have to come back to LZ1 or LZ2, and it will be coming from your left shoulder all the way down right in front of you, over the Banana River right in front of you, right toward the landing zone. So it would look spectacular. So for launch, top of the Max Brewer Bridge. For landing, either Cars Park or Jetty Park.
And you can see that location right there in our very handy where to watch a launch from video. You can see pretty much all across the Space Coast from the bridge there. Yeah. If it's foggy, maybe your mileage may vary. Let's put it that way. I believe we have a live view right now from our friend Wade, Dr. WD40 on Twitch, who the weather where Wade is.
Wait, what? Where is that?
That actually looks really nice.
Yeah.
Where's
what
that?
I was thinking as well. The flag is a Floridian flag, so it's definitely somewhere in Florida. How close it is to your current location, Max, I'm not sure.
That looks almost like it's from the riverfront in Cocoa, right near State Route 520. I could be mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but that's what that looks like to me. And because he's that much far south and that much far more inland, that makes sense why he has clear skies compared to us over here on the coast right now. So fingers crossed, Wade has a great view, and with us being just under 18 minutes from liftoff now, that looks like that may be the case. So fingers crossed for Wade.
Indeed. And the immediate juxtaposition between Wade's view and Dee's current view, where you can barely see the flag on the flagpole just a few feet in front of them. Either
And
way,
I did measure. I'm 200 feet away from the flag, for reference.
and you can barely see it. That's brilliant.
It is barely visible.
As you can see on the top left of your screen, we're approaching T-minus 17 minutes, which means approximately 3 minutes ago we should have seen the T-minus 20-minute vent. Of course, we couldn't see the T-minus 20-minute vent because of the fog. But anyways, Alex, for the fun of it, why does SpaceX conduct that T-minus 20-minute vent?
Well, in about 30 seconds from now, they're going to be loading liquid oxygen onto the second stage. So well ahead of that, they condition that line from the Stromback to the second stage that provides that liquid oxygen with, they condition that essentially with that liquid oxygen. They flow it through the line, but a much slower flows, I guess. I always sort of compare that to how maybe on your faucet, you maybe just open the tap a little bit and it trickles. You see a few droplets here and there. That's more or less the kind of flow that you see when they're doing that chill down, compared to whenever it's actually at full flow, which you open the tap completely and you just let the water flow, right? So the same thing is there. When you have very, just a trickle going through, that allows the material to accept, that cooling, be able to set into that colder temperature, and it's much better for the line. Because if you do it fast, well, you are essentially shocking thermally that material, and that's not good.
Indeed. Very quickly, Six String Simpleton in chat. And that's a spaceflight. Is this a Vandenberg launch? I can confirm it isn't. And we are awaiting a launch from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida from Launch Complex 39A in just over 15 minutes' time, where Falcon 9 booster B1086 is vertical. We saw it, Alex, I believe we saw it going vertical, so we know it's vertical on the pad. We just haven't really seen it since.
Yep, it's there on the pad. And of course, SpaceX has confirmed that they're already underway with propellant load. So it's not only on the pad and vertical, but also getting that propellant. And so yeah, we're most definitely sure that it is there. I'm not sure if we're going to see a lot of it though. But once it clears the clouds, hopefully Wade will be able to see something. We'll hope for that.
I talked a lot about the patchiness of the fog previously. I think that might have been this morning, but this really shows that so much. The fact that we have such little visibility here, and Max, you're 7-8 miles south of me at least, but just a few more miles farther south, I think, is that incredibly clear shot. So that will be really great to see. Wade, I really hope you capture some great stuff this launch. I will be doing my absolute best, but now I regret being on site at all for this one.
Bird watching in the meantime, because you can.
Yeah. Wade is currently filming a bird getting his dinner. So I'm sure that bird will be greatly enjoying his tea. Oh, and the fish is gone. The fish is gone. And okay, and we'll leave it at that. Moving swiftly on, this vehicle has flown 3 times before. It's a relatively young booster in SpaceX's fleet. Prior to flying today's Worldview Legion 5 and 6 mission, it launched on Starlink Group 12-11 back on January 8th, so approximately 1 month ago. Before then, it launched Starlink Group 12-5, exactly 1 month prior on December 8th, and its first mission, its debut, was serving as one of the side cores on the Goes You Falcon Heavy mission all the way back in June of last year. So all of its launches, bar one, has been from Launch Complex 39A so far. So
now I'm curious
for this booster.
You made me check my own spreadsheet because I was thinking, wait, if it flew on Goes You as a Falcon Heavy side booster, it landed also back on land. It did on our TLS. So, but I checked and it landed at LC1 as well. So it's not going to be doing LC2 and then LC1. Yeah. There you can see some of the stats for today's launch. Already the 17th launch of the year for SpaceX. That's, yeah. And you remember that failure in July of last year? This is the 80th launch of Falcon 9 since then.
That's really kind of bonkers to think about. 80 flights since the failure, and the failure, I still vivid in my mind is waking up one day in July and I have a million notifications from Kevin and Adrian saying, we're making a video because the Falcon 9 failed when I was asleep. They're like, okay then, I guess that's what I'm doing today. But they've already flown 80 times, or about to fly the 80th mission since that failure. It's really, the cadence from SpaceX and from Falcon 9 is literally unprecedented. It is absolutely incredible. And January felt like an entire year's worth of news in the span of 30 days. But this is already the 25th orbital launch attempt worldwide for this year. It's Falcon 9's 16th mission of the year. So yeah, wonderful to see. As the blue skies, or the sun is setting over the skies of Florida, where Wade is. You can't really tell what the sun's doing if you're where Max and D are, but either way, in just over 11 minutes' time, fingers crossed, we'll have some sort of visual on the rocket.
Well, I've got to say, I currently hear a helicopter. I can't see it at all, but I do hear it, and all my cables, there's water dripping off of them right now. It is, it's soup. It's like I'm swimming out here.
Yeah, the amount of moisture in the air right now, I have to say, is pretty disgusting. Like, this is as bad as it really gets. I feel bad for all of our gear because, as you said, everything is dripping wet. Everything is basically swimming. But you know what? That's just how the ball goes sometimes. What? Yeah. Oh, God, that's horrible.
Max just shared some images in our back channel here. I'm just looking at them. Like, yeah, all of the equipment is like dripping with water. It reminds me of the re-entry scene from Apollo 13, you know, when all of everything's been so cold for so long.
Yes.
All of the water just starts dripping out of all of the control panels. That's literally what Max and D's equipment looks like now, to give you a visual in your mind. That's literally how it looks. There is like water dripping off of their cables and equipment. It's incredible to see. It's something.
Max R3 mission from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. While we usually have great views for our launch coverage, and unfortunately for our webcast and those of you joining us from the launch site, we have got a ton of fog today. While that's not great for viewing, we do have good news for launch. Weather is green for liftoff, and we are currently tracking less than a 5% chance of weather violation at our target liftoff time of 6:13 p.m. Eastern from Launch Complex 39A. My name is Ronnie Foreman, and I am a Senior Sales Manager here at SpaceX, joining you now from Hawthorne, California. Welcome to our live launch coverage of Maxar-3, SpaceX's 15th mission of 2025. Today, we're delivering 2 next-generation Worldview Legion satellites to orbit for Maxar intelligence. SpaceX launched the first set of Worldview Legion spacecraft in May of 2024, and the 3rd and 4th satellites in August 2024. Today's Maxar-3 mission will deliver the final 5th and 6th satellites to complete the first block of Maxar's next-generation Worldview Legion constellation. The additional satellites will ensure that Maxar continues to have the most advanced Earth imaging constellation on orbit for years to come. At T-minus 8.5 minutes, everything is looking good for an on-time liftoff. The range is ready to support, and as I mentioned earlier, the weather continues to be green, despite the fact that we don't have a great view of our launch pad, with less than a 5% chance of violation at our target T0 time.
You cannot see it.
That being said, if for any reason we are...
in this camera, I think it's like 150 feet away, so yeah, that's not good. But the rocket is there, the countdown is still going. We're also going to have wrapping up of the liquid oxygen load on first and second stages at T-minus 3 minutes and T-minus 2 minutes. And of course, the big important milestone is at T-minus 1 minute, that handover between the ground computers and the onboard computers of the control of the count, and that go for launch from the launch director. So lots of things to go through. Hopefully in 7 minutes we got a launch. Maybe not the fog, please.
Drying
no
off the
fog.
cables there on our tracking mount, because it is simply just so damp. Yeah. Either way, the microphones are going to be doing a wonderful job today, fingers crossed. So, as we approach 6 minutes to go, the flag is still flying, and we can still barely see it. But that is just the story that we are telling today with this weather that has rolled in to the Cape. The weather conditions further up north and further down south do seem to be a bit better. I just pulled up the weather station that's at the shuttle landing facility. Let me refresh it again just to make sure I've got the... Okay, never mind. That was very old information. I was about to say that the shuttle landing facility is saying that they've got 10 miles of visibility. I just refreshed. They've got 7/8 of a mile of visibility.
That's very optimistic.
I was going to say, yeah, I'd be surprised if it was even a couple hundred feet at this point, because over here at Cars Park, I know we're many miles south of the SLF, but I can barely see anywhere from maybe 200 or 300 feet over the water. Like it's bad. It's gotten considerably worse over the last 20 minutes even.
But the winds are very, very light. It's reporting just 5-knot winds, so that's what, like 3, 4, 5 miles an hour. That's very, very low winds. So apart from the visibility conditions, the actual weather conditions for today's flight are pretty much bang on. You know, like the official forecast from the range, less than a 5% chance of weather violation. You know, there are no primary concerns. There's low upper level wind shear, low booster recovery weather concerns, low solar activity. You know, this is all bang on stuff. It's just, you know, only Wade is the only person in Florida right now who has a great view of today's launch as we approach 5 minutes to go. So it's unfortunate that we don't have fantastic views of the rocket right now, but fingers crossed in under 5 minutes time that will change. Alex, a question which has been I've seen many times over the last hour or so. Will today's mission have a stubby nozzle, yes or no?
Ooh.
At just about T minus 4.5 minutes, Falcon 9 is tracking no issues, and our payloads continue to be healthy. There's confirmation that strongback retract has started. The strongback, or the transporter erector, you can just see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen there. That's the large truss structure next to Falcon 9. And we've been using that in part to help load propellants onboard Falcon 9 since T minus 35 minutes. We're targeting to finish that fuel loading at T minus 2 minutes. Now again, the range is ready to support and weather is looking good for our liftoff time today, but if for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at 5:42 p.m. Eastern. In just about 10 seconds, we'll have the TE fully reclined away from Falcon 9. The first stage is connected to a launch mount at the base of the TE, and that structure is hinged to allow that retraction away from the rocket in preparation for launch. We've already heard it called the strongback by the launch team over the nets. We use the TE, or the strongback, both to roll the rocket out to the pad and raise it into its vertical launch position. The TE is also what we use to route the vehicle's fluids, power, and telemetry umbilicals from the ground systems to the rocket and the payload until liftoff. Now, at this point in the countdown, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel.
Hey, so you see that fan? Would be a shame if something hit it. You thought your e-commerce site was ready, but your flash sale could turn into a flash fail. Cloudflare's business plan gives you 100.
We're standing by for that confirmation on board Stage 1.
Stage 1, LOX load complete.
Right on schedule. And we are expecting that fuel completion call for Stage 2 at about T minus 2 minutes. The slight venting that you can hear right now is totally normal.
See the rocket. Those are the payload fairings looking on from the fixed service structure at Launch Complex 39A as we go beyond 2 minutes until launch. Alex, what's coming up? We're going to have startup and then a few things happening before liftoff.
Yeah, we're going to have hopefully that go for launch from the launch director around 45 minutes before launch. Then T minus 3 seconds, we're going to have that engine ignition and then liftoff at T0. But yeah.
I believe you meant 45 seconds because 45 minutes before launch would be a...
Did I say 45 minutes? Ah, jeez. Yeah, 45 seconds. Sorry. Yeah, Falcon 9 is already fully loaded with propellants. Everything is getting ready for that launch. We also have those propellant tanks are also going to go up to flight pressures as well. So yeah, the final few stuff that need to be done in order to get ready for the launch.
So the vehicle's now going to be entering startup. Getting ready for a flight in under 1
Falcon
minute's
9 is in
time.
startup.
There we go, that's the confirmation.
Mode. And now we are standing by for our launch director to give our final go for launch.
Launch director, go for launch.
Oh, there you go.
That's what we wanted to hear. So SpaceX is go, and the fog is indeed go. So fingers crossed, we'll see a launch. Our clock is going to say 20 seconds. SpaceX's is going to say 30 seconds. That's just because of the latency between the two different feeds. So whichever camera has view of this vehicle launching first, we will take it. So just under 5 seconds to go according to our clock, but let's keep an eye on the SpaceX feeds to see whether or not this vehicle launches. Nothing so far from our feeds.
Wow, not even a glow.
But here comes the rumble, and I can confirm Falcon 9 is off and away with Worldview Legion 5 and 6. Let's listen to this beautiful audio. my, oh my, that sound was ripping the air apart, and Falcon 9 is ripping through max Q, the moment of peak mechanical stress on the rocket. I believe this view is from Wade, tracking it from south of the pad. Look at that rocket go. A beautiful side-lit Falcon 9 lifting off into space with those two worldview satellites on board. Absolutely beautiful sights from further down south in Florida.
Look at that. It's already in the sun.
Exactly. Maybe Wade will get a view of that wonderful jellyfish effect a few minutes later into flight. Briefly through the fog could be seen there from the Cape. You could hear Alex's interest in that shot there. You can see the plume expanding as it gets higher up in the atmosphere, and Miko happening about now.
There it is.
Should see stage separation, and shortly after, the ignition of the the second stage engine. Forgive me. There we go. And the first stage flipping around and beginning its boost back burn as Falcon 9 B1086 returns to the Cape. Look at this beautiful plume interaction over the skies of Florida.
Yeah, I was stunned before because that was max, and that's really hard through the fog. But look at this.
Beautiful scenes. It's so crystal clear against that dark blue sky. Wade zooming in on the booster as it returns to the Cape. Landing should be coming up in approximately 5-ish minutes.
It'll also be coming up on fairing separation as well on the second stage.
Let's see on board. There go the fairings. You can see those beautiful satellites are now exposed to the vacuum of space, the MVAC continuing to throttle, and you can see
full size
goodbye to that fairing.
As I predicted, that full-size nozzle.
And I believe the boost back burn has concluded at this point. And we can see the RCS reaction control thrusters on B1086, that first stage booster, continuing to precisely orient this vehicle in the exact orientation it needs to be in order to return to that landing pad just south of where it launched from 4 minutes ago.
One thing that amazes me of those RCS is how long that pulse travels. Look at that. The force and ooh, a new feed.
Are those the fairings? I'm trying to figure. Are those two dots there the fairings? And then the second stage continuing on. This is from Sawyer down, very much further down south in Florida. And I believe those could be the fairings because they're two dots relatively close to each other. Those are going to be re-entering the atmosphere shortly and returning to splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. Those will be scooped up by fairing recovery ship Bob, which deployed out earlier a few days ago. But this booster, that isn't returning to the Atlantic Ocean, that is returning to Cape Canaveral. It's been in the air, approaching for 5 minutes now. And very shortly, that landing burn is going to be starting up in about 2 minutes' time. Second stage, meanwhile, is continuing its way into orbit. The second stage engine will be cutting off at 8 minutes and 6 seconds into flight, so that's got just under 3 minutes left to go in its initial burn. It will then be doing a second burn and a third burn in order to place its payloads into their desired orbits. First stage, though, is approximately 2 minutes away from returning home. The sky's getting very dark now as the sun sets, but it's still providing us with some beautiful side-on lighting for that first stage. I'm seeing reports in the chat that we're getting beautiful views in South Carolina, North Carolina. Seeing the RCS puffs from the booster, that would be quite incredible to see on the horizon. And from about now, this booster is essentially going to be falling straight down and using the
Ooh,
fire,
there
there
we
we go, to fight against the fire of re-entry. And we can see
Oh,
it coming
look at
back
that.
down now. Here we go. Entry
That's
burn.
with 3 engines, down to 1, and shutdown. Haha,
And there we
really
go.
sooty.
Yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful view from Wade. And this vehicle is now essentially falling straight down, dog-legging slightly, but falling straight down towards the ground. There we go. Beautiful kind of under angle from SpaceX, looking
I'm
up
curious.
at those 9 Merlin engines.
Ah, there we go. I was curious if SpaceX were gonna be, tracking from the ground with all the fog and everything.
Let's just go on board. So here we go. Landing burn should be coming up very shortly. Perhaps SpaceX's timeline they published beforehand is a little bit off, but that's fine. There's the landing
Ooh.
burn from the booster, from Wade. Let's follow this burn all the way down to the ground. Oh, it looks like the horizon got in the way there ever so slightly. But we'll continue following it from SpaceX's onboard cameras as it passes back into that thick, dense, soupy fog at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. And there is landing zone 1. We can see the wildlife running away
Wow.
from landing zone 1 at the Cape. And here we go. It's throwing up dust. This is what we usually see. And that is a beautiful touchdown for B-1086. It has returned to landing zone 1, somewhere it has landed once before. And once again, a beautiful, successful landing for today's first stage booster. A sight that will never get old. My, oh my. Well, D, how was that?
So this morning we saw an orange glow light up the sky a little bit, and then we were actually able to see the flame itself for a little bit of the launch. I didn't get an orange glow. I couldn't see literally anything this entire launch. But the audible experience was wonderful.
So you're saying this would have made an excellent podcasting experience?
You
Yeah, I could have closed my eyes this whole launch and I wouldn't have missed a thing.
did you
Gee,
see
how
that on
was the
on
audio for
feed?
you over there?
I think
Was it-
I said in chat, this audio was incredible.
Was it the most
to-
insane you've ever heard?
To steal your line that you like to say when it's not true, this audio was the most insane that I have ever heard.
Look at that jelly behind the MVAC nozzle.
Yeah.
Look at that.
On horizon.
I saw that before, and I was, like, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Like, wow. From orbit, right? It's a jellyfish from orbit.
Yeah, just those faint remnants of the sunlight, glistening through the atmosphere, that very thin atmosphere that the Earth has. And you can see that teeny tile trail there. Just look to the left of the trail. There you go. Now up near our clock, top left. You can see that faint trail in the atmosphere being lit up by the sun as the second stage passes into the nighttime side of the Earth. And the lights on board the second stage are now illuminating the satellites. Just an incredible audio and visual experience for Wade. But I won't rub it in too much. Either way, I think, the East Coast remains the best coast. And the icing on the cake, it's a full-size nozzle, which is something that is always wonderful to see.
Yeah, Wade definitely came in clutch for us tonight with the view that he had south of us. So Wade, if you're listening, thank you very much for your efforts today. That made everything so much better, and we were all in awe following along. So that was beautiful.
Indeed, and we actually have someone in chat, David ME, saying back here at US1 and the 524, the booster was visible about 3/4 of the way back. Excuse me, the booster was visible about 3/4 of the way back. So yeah, that was, I'm sure the views from the areas from that Wade camera right now as the sun was setting, that was beautiful, because the sky gets darker and darker and darker, but because the vehicle is so high up in the atmosphere, it still is able to be in the sunlight, unlike the ground. So you get this wonderful side-lit vehicle against this deep blue dark background, deep blue dark sky, which just makes, the plume interactions and the RCS firings and the second stage ignition just makes it all so much more visible from our ground tracking cameras. It's really, really pretty to see. So again, big props to Wade, who I'm sure is now going to be packing up. Thank you very much for those beautiful views as this vehicle ascended and returned to the Cape. Very quickly, JC Davis, just before the launch, thank you very, very much for the $5 super chat. Let's make safely. Steve, with a $5 super chat, says, Rocket says counts to 30 and then find me. Barbara, thank you very much.